Good Saturday. Hello, CW, Sister Jeannie, and all those who will be joining shortly, I'm sure, or watching later. Welcome, new subscribers, our parishioners, or people who get it. Welcome, and that's important to have the quality of viewer, not the quantity, because I don't do this for money. So it's more important that people learn something with what we're teaching, because it's just things that I've found that have been beneficial to my life. So today is Saturday, April 20th, 2023. 2023? No, I'm a year behind. 2024. That's what happens. I'll be 60 next month. Oof, that hurts. But I feel good. I felt probably better in the last 4 or 5 years than I have many, many years. So thanks be to Deam Matronam Nostre, Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Let's continue with St. John of the Cross and the vices that are involved in the dark night. And good day, Orestes. I have to speak with somebody who can let me know if I'm pronouncing that right. Should I be rolling the R more? Orestes? Making the E longer sound? Orestes? In any case, welcome. Good to see you. Thank you. And hopefully you got my return email. I did email you back. Some people do have a problem with my email address. Check your spam, etc. But it should be good once you get in there and we start chatting. All right, let's get started with morning prayers, and we'll go into, like I said, the spiritual, the vice of spiritual gluttony. Okay, let's get started. In nomine Dei, Matronam Nostre, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. It was nice and quiet in here. The birds, the 3 ducks and the 4 chicks the ducklings were very quiet when I first came in. And then they hear me talking, and now they're like, bring me food, bring me water, change my pen. But that's good. All right. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention, we are coming, yesterday was a doozy for my son, Ben, and I was like, what is going on? Because we are doing a detox for him on the parasites, so I knew I was kind of hitting him hard with that, and, he gets very agitated. And then I looked at the calendar, and sure enough, we're 3 days before a full moon, and it's been sending a lot of people into fits, let's just say. Oh man, I can tell. I get the emails, I get the in person, and so if you find that you're short of temper, or just agitated and nervous and you can't figure out why, that's the reason. As we have to do more on our parasite cleanses. The other thing I wanted to mention was that I've been doing some experimenting on trying to contemplate during different times. And I have found that, believe it or not, it's easier to contemplate during the moon cycles. Okay, so this makes me tend to believe that they had figured this out a long time ago with the dark side as well, so that they would take advantage of that. That's why you have the witches and whatnot and doing their moon thing, and the pyramids doing their stuff in the top there during the moons. It appears that the pathway, if you will, to the ethereal, let's just call it that, the after, this, I don't like to use the word spirits, but to the heavenly realm, etc., is more accessible. So again, that's why it's very important that I always say that you ask for protection while you're doing your Catholic contemplation or meditation from Dea Matronam Nostrae. And again, like I said, it's easier during these periods, so you might want to try it then, and you'll see. All right. I always have something interesting for you, don't I? So let us place ourselves in the presence of the Trinitarian Theophany, and in Catholic contemplation, humbly adore or venerate Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Most holy and venerable Trinitarian Theophany, Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, 1 in 3, 3 in 1. I believe that thou art here present. I venerate thee with the deepest humility. I render to thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to thee. My daughter mentioned the other day, I wish Dad had just explained that the Trinity was family, and it would have made a lot more sense to me. And I thought about that, and I was like, yeah, well, it really didn't hit me in that depth until not too long ago about, you kind of look into these deep esoteric, definitions and contemplations on the Trinitarian Theophany, and it's really just simply family, and it's very heartwarming to know that's and it's more easily absorbed by a newcomer who is wondering what we're talking about, because they can get that pretty simply because they know that that's important, and again, it's proper family, not this worldly definition of family. Okay. O Trinitarian Theophany, relying on thine infinite goodness and promises, I hope to obtain the pardon of my sins, the help of thy grace, and life everlasting, through the merits of Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Matronam Nostrae. O Trinitarian Theophany, I love thee above all things with my whole heart and soul, because thou art all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for love of thee, and I forgive all who have injured me and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. Let us thank the Trinitarian Theophany for the many graces that we receive, and offer ourselves and our sufferings up to the Trinitarian Theophany. O Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. I most humbly thank thee for all the favors thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in thy service. I consecrate to thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, O Trinitarian Theophany, that there may be none that is not animated by thy love, or that would not tend to thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good, and let us beg of God the graces which are necessary to us. God, the Trinitarian Theophany. Thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of thy grace. Deny me not thy grace, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength to avoid everything which thou forbiddest, to practice the good which thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please thee to send me. O Dea Matronam Nostrae, I place myself under thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress, my consolation in suffering, now and at the hour of my death. O most holy Trinitarian Theophany, Dea Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. I am heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins, because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell. But most of all because they offend thee, O most holy Trinitarian Theophany, Dea Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, who are all good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. St. John of the Cross, dark night of the soul, of imperfections in respect of spiritual gluttony. As to the fourth vice, which is spiritual gluttony, there is much to say, for there is scarce one of these beginners who, however well he may proceed, falls not into somewhat of the many imperfections this vice gives rise to, by reason of the relish he finds, at first, in soulful exercises. For many of these, spoilt by the flavor and relish they find in such exercises, try rather to give pleasure to the soulful palate than to acquire true purity and devotion, which is what the Trinitarian Theophany looks at and accepts during the entire soulful journey. Wherefore, over and above the imperfection that urges them to solicit these savors, the dainty they have already tasted makes them attempt to use the foot instead of the hand, begin where they should end, transgressing the limits of that middle course wherein virtue consists and is achieved. For, allured by the relish they find therein, some kill themselves with penances, and others weaken themselves with fasts, doing more than their bodily frailty suffers, without being ordered or advised thereto. Nay, rather do they seek to evade him who in this manner they are bound to obey, and some even make bold to act in the manner thus described, although he has bidden them just the opposite. These are most imperfect, wrong-headed people, who set no store by subjection and obedience, which is a penance of the reason and freedom of choice, and therefore a more acceptable and savory sacrifice in the sight of the Trinitarian Theophany than all others of corporal penance, which apart from all else is most imperfect, because they are moved thereto solely by reason of the satisfaction and relish they find therein. Wherein, since all extremes are vicious, and by pursuing such a course they follow their own will only, rather do they grow in vices than in virtues. For to say the least of it, they become soulful or spiritual gluttons, and wax in pride, because they walk not in obedience. And to such an extent doth the devil deceive many of these, adding fuel to the fire of their gluttony by gusts and appetites, which he makes greater. And at length, if they can do naught else, they change or add to or vary what is ordered them, because to them all obedience is gall and wormwood. Wherein some reach such a pitch of evil that the mere fact that they go to these exercises at the precept of obedience deprives them of the desire and devotion to perform them, since their sole aim and delight is to do that the devil moves them to, all of which, perchance, were better left undone. You shall see many of these extremely opinionated and contumacious with their soulful master, in order to force him to assent to their likings, and they wrest, W-R-E-S-T, his consent from him half by force, and if not, they bemoan themselves like children and sulk, and will do nothing heartily, and think they do not serve the Trinitarian Theophany when they are not allowed to follow their own bent. For as they have no mainstay save their own goodwill and pleasure, the moment it is taken from them, and it is sought to inspire them with the will of the Trinitarian Theophany, they grow sad, and lose courage and falter. These think that to please and satisfy themselves is to serve and satisfy the Trinitarian Theophany. There are others also who, because of this dainty that has been vouchsafed them, so little realize their own wretchedness and baseness, and have so far flung aside the loving fear and respect they owe to the Trinitarian Theophany's greatness, that they hesitate not to argue vehemently with their confessors as to whether they are to be permitted to confess and communicate frequently. And the worst of the matter is that, often guided solely by their own opinion, they venture to communicate without the license and approval of the minister and dispenser of Deum Jesum Christum, and then try to hide from him the truth. And for this reason, with an eye to continue communicating, they make their confessions in any sort of slipshod fashion, being more eager to eat than to eat cleanly and worthily, as if it were not more healthy and holy, their inclinations tending otherwise to beseech their confessors not to order them to approach the sacred feast so often. Although of these two extremes, humble submission is better than either. But excessive daring paves the way for great evil, and they have reason to fear the chastisement that overtakes such boldness. When people of this sort communicate, all they hanker after is to preserve some sensible relish or sensation rather than to reverence and worship the Trinitarian Theophany with heartfelt humility. And in such sort do they annex this to themselves as a right, that when they have not derived some delight or sensible emotion, they think that they have done nothing, judging most basely of the Trinitarian Theophany, and not perceiving that the least of the benefits of this most holy sacrament confers is that which touches the senses, and that incomparably the greatest is the invisible gift of grace, since in order to make them fix on Deum Jesum Christum, the eyes of faith, the Trinitarian Theophany often takes away these sensible pleasures and failures, and thus they are fain to feel the Trinitarian Theophany and taste of the Trinitarian Theophany as if the Trinitarian Theophany were comprehensible and accessible, not only in this, but in all other spiritual exercises, all of which is an exceeding great imperfection and absolutely contrary to the condition of God, who demands the most absolute faith. In the prayer they practice, these people do exactly the same, for they think the whole gist thereof consists in finding sensible delight and devotion, and they try to get it, as they say, by main force and fatigue and weary the faculties in the brain. And when they have not found the said delight, they despond, thinking they have done nothing, and with this pretension of theirs they lose true devotion and spirit, which consists in persevering therein with patience and humility, distrustful of themselves for the sake only of pleasing the Trinitarian Theophany. for this cause, when they have not found pleasure, if it be only for once in this or the other exercise, they experience great distaste and repugnance to return thereto. For in themselves they are, as we have said, like unto children, whose movements and actions are not ruled by reason, but by inclination. They let all things else slide, whilst they seek after spiritual delight and comfort. And to this end they are never done with reading books, and now they take up one meditation, and now another, for all the world as if they went a-chasing of their own pleasure in the things of the Trinitarian Theophany. The which the Trinitarian Theophany most justly, wisely, and lovingly denies. For were it otherwise, they would, through this gluttony and spiritual fastidiousness, develop grave evils. Wherefore it behooves these greatly to enter into the dark night, so that they may be purged from these follies. I'm going to stop there, because my voice is running out. I just got it back, so I don't want to lose it. But that's a interesting point, how we can fall into that to that vice. And fall into the grasp of the devil by a spiritual gluttony, and again, it's mostly triggered by pride. Let's contemplate on being aware of that so we can avoid it. Deum vobiscum, quoque apotei. Oremus. O Trinitarian Theophany, the Creator and Redeemer of all the faithful, grant to the souls of thy servants and handmaids the remission of all their sins, that they may obtain by loving prayers the forgiveness which they have always desired, who livest and reignest with thee, one Trinitarian Theophany, forever and ever. Suscipe Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, hanc immaculatum hostium, quam ego indinius famulus tuos, affeditibi Deum eum vivum et verum, pro inhibidibus peccatis et offensionibus et negligentis meis, e pro omnibus circumstantibus, sed pro omnibus fidelibus catalocorum vivis aquae, defunctis ut mihi edidis perfiderat salutem. Deum qui humanis substantia dignitate mirabilita condidisse, mirabilis reformarsi da nobis per hus acora venimus tium, eis divinitatis esse consortis qui militatis nostre, fieri notis est particips Deum Iesum Christum Filium, qui tecum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Offerimus tibi Deum calicem, salutaris tuum de peccatis clementiam, ut consueto divine majestatis tuae pro nostra, et totius mundi salute, cum adoris suavitatis ascendat. In spiritu humilitatis et in animo concito suscipiam arate Deum Iesum Christum, et fiat sacrificium nostrum et consueto tuori, ut placeat tibi Deum matronam nostrae, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Veni Sanctificator. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, et sanctifici de plata prosequendo et recepere hoc sacrificium tuo sancto nomine preparatum. Suscipe Sancta Trinitas, hanc oblationem cum tibi afferimus, ab amorem passionis, resurrectionis et ascensionis Deum Iesum Christum, et in honorem Deum matronam nostrae, et a Papa Peter Sanctorum, et Istorum, et Omnium Sanctorum, ut idis proficiat ad honorem nobis autem ad salutem, et idi pro nobis intercedere, in intercedis, quorum amore magimus in telis, per Deum Christum Deum nostrum. Orate, ut meam ec vestrum sacrificium acceptabile fiat per Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Suscipiat Deum Iesum Christum sacrificium de manibus tuis, et laudam et gloriam nomine sui ad utilitatem quoque nostrum totusque ecclesiae sui sanctae. Deum vobiscum, quoque pote, surusum corda habamas ad Deum. Gratias agamas Deum nostrum, dignibus justum est. Et eget omnibusissimi Mater Pater, Deum Matron Nostre, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per Deum Iesum Christum Filium Tuum, Deum Nostre Subdicis, rogamus ac petimus. Uti accepta habeas, et sanctificas, ex sanctam sacrificium ilibata. In primis tibia ferimus pro ecclesiam tuam sanctam catholicam, quam pacificare custodire ad honore, et regere digniris tot orbite darum atque catholicae. Memento Deum famorum famorum. We especially pray for those who are suffering during this moon cycle. We especially pray for Anne Boltink, Maria Josephina Mose, Benedict Michael Santa Croce, John Cahill, the Cantu and Duarte families, Mr. Nobody, Henry and Barbara Santa Croce, the Dusko, Naita, Four, Began, Wolf families, and the Lineweber family. We pray for Mr. Nobody to receive the funding and strength needed to complete the first Sede Vacantis Catholic Council office in Monastery of Illinois. We pray for an end to all governmental allowance or sanctioning of abortion, transgenderism, transhumanism, child trafficking, child ritual abuse, human trafficking, and medical abuse. We pray for the establishment of a Catholic monarchy with a sound Catholic system of labor, human value, medium exchange, with a swift return to a Catholic monarchy with no usury. We pray for courageous men to step forward as leaders of this Catholic society, to take care of their families. We ask for a reversal of the feminist ideology and a return to godly femininity with a banning of all quote-unquote gay marriage. We ask Deum Matronam Nostra et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum with this Mass to destroy the satanic document of the Vatican law that is the Jewish Talmud. We ask you to destroy Rome and the Vatican and transfer the authority of the Catholic Church to Fatima, Portugal, and to release the souls controlled by the demon Lilith and the demon Asmodeus, and send those two demons back to the pits of hell. We also ask you to save or transfer the souls from under the dominion of any Jew or Freemason that gives support to Israel, and to make them fall to the worst part of hell with no chance to ever escape. We pray for the souls in Sudan and Haiti who are lost. All these things we ask in accordance with God's holy and divine will. Et omnium circumstantium, quorum tibi fides cognita est in noto devotio, pro quibus tibi eferimus, veruque tibi efferent hoc sacrificium laudis, pro sis quisque omnibus, pro redemptione animarum suarum, pro spe salutis et equlamitatis suae, tibi quere devota sua aeternum Deum vivo et vero. Communicantes et memore venerantes, in primis gloriose, semper Deum Matronum Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et beatorum martyrium tuorum Papa Sancta Petri, et Sancta Lucia, et Sancta Jacinta, et Sancta Francisco, et Sancta Juan Diego, et omnium sanctorum tuorum corum meditis precibus incedas, ut in omnibus protectiones tuae monem exilio per innum Christum Deum nostrum. Quam oblationem te Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum in omnibus consecratum acceptabulum quae fecedi dignidis ut nobis corpum, et sanguinem fiat directissimi Filium tuum Deum Iesum Christum, qui pridii quam pateretur recepit panem sancta sacramentis manus suas, et derivatis oculis in caelum ante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum suum omnipotentem tibi gratias agens, consecravit, frigidi di quae lumnis sui dicens accipite et mandocate ex hoc omnes. Hoc est enim corpus meum. Simile modo postquam ceremonias accipiens et hunc preclaram calicem in sancta sacramentis manus suas item tibi gratias agens Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Consecravit dique lumnis sui dicens accipite et bibite ex omnes. Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei, mysterium fidei, quae pro nobis et pro multis effundetur in remissionem peccatorum. Equat est cum feceditis in mono fecedis. Unde et memoris Deum nos servitui, sed plebs tua sancto iustum Christum Filium tuum Deum nostre. Tambe et passionis nec non et in fidis resurrectionis, sed et in celos gloriose ascensionis offerimus preclare maestati tuis donis actatis. Supraque propitio axarino vulturis specieri digneris. Supplicis teragamos Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum ibi hic peferi per manus tuum ut quod ex hoc altaris participationis sacrosanctum Deum Filium tuum, corpus et sanguinem subsinimus, omni sanctificatione celestia gratia repe amor per innum Christum Deum nostre. We pray for those who have died, and we especially pray for Kyle, John, Herman, Ted, and Beck, for whom this Mass is being offered. Ipsis Deum et omnibus in Christum crescentibum locum refugere lucis et pacis ut odo gesta proclamar per innum Christum Deum nostrum. Perquem hic omnia Deum Iesum Christum sed Paulona creas, sanctificas, vivificas, consecratis et prestas nobis. Per ipsum et cum ipso et in ipso, est tibi Deum Matrum omnipotente in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Omnis honor et gloria. Ave Deum, matronam nostrae, gratia plena Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum tecum. Deum matronam nostrae, matram Deum Iesum Christum, misericordia nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Libera nos quae sumus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, ab omnibus malis, praeteritis, presentibus et futuris, et intercedente beata gloriosa semper Deum matronam nostrae, cum Papa Petrum Sanctorum et omnibus sanctis da propitius pacem in diebus nostris. Ut opi misericordiae tui eduiti de peccato, simus semper liberi et ab omni perturbatione securi. Per innum Deum nostrum, Iesum Christum, Filium tuum Deum nostrum, qui tega vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per aeternam. Pax Deum Iesum Christum, sit semper vobiscum, et quoque apud te. ecum ex Deo consecratio corporis et sanguinis Deum Iesum Christum fiat recipientibus nobis in ad salutem aeternam. Pax tecum, et quoque apud te. Deum Iesum Christum, qui ex voluntate Deum matronam nostrae, qua prande Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per mortem tuum unum vivificasti, libera me per hoc sacrosanctum corpus et sanguinum tuum ab nobis iniquitatibus meis, et universis malis, et fac me tui semper in hadare mandatis, et et nunquam separari permitas, qui cum eodem Deum matronam nostrae et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum vivis serenam aeternam. Perceptio corporis tui Deum Iesum Christum, quod ego indinius sum repressimo non mihi proveniat in editissima condemnationem, sed pro tu pietate prosit mihi ut medis corporis, et ad medenam percipiendum qui vivis serenas, cum Deum matronam nostrae in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. In panem celestem accipiem, et nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Deum matronam nostrae non sunt dignius, ut dissertate meis in tanto verba sempiternam mea. Deum Iesum Christum non sunt dignius, ut dissertate meis in tanto verba sempiternam mea. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum non sunt dignius, ut dissertate meis, sed tanto verba sempiternam mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Quid retribuam Deum Iesum Christum pro omnibus queritud mihi, calicem salutaris accipiem et nomen Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum invocabo, laudans invocabo Deum matronam nostrae et ab inimicis mei salvusero. Sanguis Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Codore sumpsimus Deum Iesum Christum, puramente capiamus et timore et temperae fit nobis remedium sempiternam. Corpus tuum Deum Iesum Christum, quod sum sanguis quempet haevis bus meis presta ut in me remenia scelera macula quam puerat sancta reficiena sacramenta. Deum vobiscum, et quo corpo te. Oremus. May the prayer of thy suppliants profit the souls of thy servants and handmaids, we beseech thee, O Trinitarian Theophany, that thou mayest free them from all sins, and make them sharers in thy redemption, who livest and reignest with thee, one Trinitarian Theophany, forever and ever. Deum vobiscum, et quo corpo te. Ite mise est. Deum gratia. Placet tibi, Sancta Trinitam, obsequium servitutis mea praeso ut sacrificium, cor oculis tui majestatis in illus autoritivi setatare mique et omnibus proquibus illud obtuliciti miserante propitiabile, per Christum Deum nostrum. Sanctificat vos omnipotens Deum, Matronam et Filium et Spiritum Sanctum. Deum Matronam Nostrae et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. O Deum Matronam Nostrae et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. I believe, I venerate, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not venerate, do not hope, and do not love thee. Most Holy Trinitarian Theophany, I venerate thee profoundly, and I offer to thee the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of Deum Iesum Christum, present here in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifference by which he himself is offended. And through the infinite merits of his most sacred heart and the immaculate heart of Deum Matronam Nostrae, I beg of thee the conversion of poor sinners. In nomine Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. So thank you for attending and for saying your rosary. And for those interested in the priesthood, like I mentioned the other day, please contact me. And you can also start by getting together those necessities of a priest, okay? Set up your altar at home and obtain the booklet which for the Mass, which you can download from the website as well, the PDF, and print that out and have that for yourself and for others. And, you know, get candles and a crucifix and work on finding a chalice and paten, and the list goes on. All right. If you have any questions, please contact me, and we'll see you tomorrow. Please go and sanctify all those who you meet. Have a great day.